taking part in an exhibition in Falmouth in a few weeks called Paper Artefact, and I'm going to be showing my pop-up book of The Wind in the Willows, but I don't want to take this edition because this is my well, for a start, it's the first one that I made, so I want to keep this one as my special one that I submitted for my masters. And I'm going to make another special one for my exhibition copy. So that's the plan today, or this evening, to get a start on cutting out some pages using the guillotine and craft knife. So yeah, apologies for the poor filming, but some is better than none. I'll try and get the camera set up on it tomorrow. With what I did last time. It was quite a long time ago that I made this first one. The flags are probably the fiddliest bit. Try and get all of the cuts that go in the same direction in at the same time before turning the page around. Our 3 layers. Each page of the book has a handwritten spiral and lift the flap stamp. This gives me space to write the text. to help tell Kenneth Grahame's story of The Wind in the Willows. It also links to my research that I did for this project, collecting people's letters of memories in response to how he first wrote the story as letters to his son. So that ties in with the stamps. And then the spirals reflect the influence that the Fibonacci sequence had on my work. And this ties in with the nature and human connection that I wanted to establish with this project. After writing them all, I cut them out carefully with scissors to add to the folded pages. Bit of a change of weather today, it's quite rainy. I'm going to work on the spirals again and the stamps, and hopefully glue a few more spirals into the pages and glue some pages together. That's the plan, so let's see how it gets on. So I've done all the spirals and now it's time for the stamps. So each stamp has a short caption on the back, which I'll handwrite, describing what happens in the 2 chapters. I'm going to cut these out now and write all their captions on, and then we'll be ready to assemble the whole thing. That's all 6 stamps done, all written on. Now it's time to glue together the book. Right, it's a new day and it's time for a new pot of glue. This is letterpress and design wheat starch paste and PVA by the Small Print Company. It's not sponsored or anything, but it works really well because it's got a degree of repositioning, so for when I'm gluing the spreads back to back and the cover, I can realign it if needed. And I was using my older pot yesterday for the smaller tabs and things, but it's a little dried out, so I think I need a more smooth finish today, so I'll go for the new pot. Right, so I've got all my pages, now it's time to stack them up into the right order. First one. So I align them by their front edge because the spine is covered by a flexible piece of book cloth. But the reason why I align them with the front edge is because I can't trim the front edge because of all the tabs that are folded over. Right, that's all 6 spreads. sides glued back to back. So the next step now is to put this under something heavy. I've got a set of paints that I'm going to use. My gouache box will probably be the best one for that. It's full of tubes. Yeah, so I'll set that down on top and wait for that to set off. And whilst that's drying, I'm going to work on the covers, which is really exciting. I like doing the covers. Right, so for the covers I'm using grey board covered or layered up with some lightweight recycled manila card, and I didn't do that the last time, and I felt that the covers, which I would just use grey board for on the original, are a little bendy, and I thought the added layer of the manila will help absorb some of the moisture from the glue, which is great. So I'll measure that out and cut that out with box cutter knife. Need 2 of these, so I've got 2 pieces of A4 backed up grey board. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do next. There we go, there's one cover cut out, and it feels really crisp and nice. There we have 2 boards ready to go. Right, so this is what I use to cover the covers with. I've used a separate layer on when I set up the PDF to send to the printers to apply something called Scodex finishing on the front cover. So this can be sort of like foiled in different colours. So this is gold, and then on the back I went for the Spot UV. So this just covers the blurb and it makes it look really professional and smooth, and then the actual finish on the paper itself is something called soft touch lamination, which is like a velvety finish. So I'm going to cut these out and then centre them up onto the books. How I'm going to do that is draw crosses on the front of both of these boards, and with the centre point marked, and then once I've cut out each piece of this, I'll turn it over and draw the same centre points. So this centre point will align to this centre point on this board, and same on the sides, it will line up on the sides of the board, and that way when I fold all of the edges in, it should hopefully be lined up perfectly. Right, I'm going to have to be pretty quick because the light's going. So I've come back and seen that it's all dried now, and this is dried, which is fantastic. And what I've done is I have ironed on the shiny transfer onto the piece of book cloth for the spine. So that's what we're going to attach next, and to do that I'm going to use glue as well as reinforcing it with, I think it's scrim or buckram or something. I can't remember the name. I'll see if I can look it up and put it in. But yeah, that's what I'm going to use to reinforce the spine on the inside. This gets stuck to the outside. and then this gets glued to the cover. So we're ready for the last step, which is applying the metal book corners